We are going to be doing something we postponed from Wednesday after the Twitch problems we had. We're going to be doing some live archiving. And what I mean by that is we're going to resource out this huge box behind me, which is like full of 235 comics, Marvel ones, I should say, or 225, I should say, because I've got to take 10 of them off my mind from DC ones in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to transfer our Captain America comics and Captain Marvel comics into this other box here. So this is now going to be our Captain America / Captain Marvel box. And we're going to be archiving them. But we're going to start with volume 1 of Captain America. So we've got my boards there. We're going to leave them there. And basically, I don't have many on here. I've got the old ones from the 1960s. So we've got volume 101, because it first originally started at volume 100 with these before, when it first became Marvel again, they reintroduced Captain America in 1968. So they started at 100 and they worked their way down from there. So it doesn't start at 1 with Captain America, because they had to sort of do the Timely comics and have them sort of thinking, well, if Timely had so many X, we'll have to start these from scratch at a certain barrier. So this is why Marvel tends to do the issue numbers quite differently. So originally they started at issue 100. The brand new, well, they weren't brand new then, but they were like redoing the Captain America. So that's issue 101 from May. So it started April 1968. So we've got that, and we've got 102. So these are comics I've sort of picked up online. You can only find them on eBay and things like that, but be aware of the conditions, you know, because you've got to be careful on what the conditions of them are when advertised to when you get them. And like I said, there's plenty of websites out there for you to check what a condition would look like. So if it's a grade 2.0 to a 3 point or whatever, you can get examples of what ones would look like. Hence why it's worth having archiving gloves. So yeah, so that's issue 102 after 101. Then I got a big leap to 108, which was actually one of the first, one of the oldest Captain America ones I bought. And I was surprised to see it going for sale when I got it for like a tenner. It was like 50 quid it was for sale for. Some of the one was selling them for. I thought, wow. So this is quite a good condition. I mean, I rated it like 6 to a 7 mainly grade, but it's a decent one. Another one, like I said, December 1968. So from the year it was actually brought out. Then we move on to the 70s, 1970s, with Captain America and the Falcon. So I've got several issues of them going on. So we got what, 186, and because they're a British value then, so like what, 9p. That's what they were, 9 pence in the UK at the time when they brought them out. 188, and then all of a sudden they went up to 12p when they brought out issue 212. But yeah, it's nice to see Red Skull battle the Falcon and Captain America. You don't get to see it in the film, but it's wonderful to sort of see it in the actual comics. Then we go over to, I think this is the 1990s, in 1992, issue 409. So we've jumped quite a lot from the 60s to the 90s, even to the 70s to the 90s with that sort of thing. So I've still a load of these I want to collect a bit more. And of course that's when they all started advertising games as well. But that's with Crossbones. So you've got Crossbones in this issue twice, so issue 409 and 410. So it's nice to do that. I think that's like Sharon Carter in the background you've got there as well. It's a volume 2. And this is where we actually keep the theme of Crossbones in it. So I'm not sure how many of them were released. This is the late 90s, so you got 97 there, January 97. And that's where you start getting the artist names in them. So the cover artists and that are quite good. So you'll see my index down below. We have that sort of list. So there we go. We've got it all there. What else have we got? We're going to move on to volume 3. So these are the dividers we'll end up making. Volume 3 is more of Sharon Carter in it. And then we go on to a few other issues there. So we start at issue 10, issue 12, and issue 14, which is wonderful with the Red Skull in it. So yeah. Yeah, like I said, at the bottom you get the artist names at the bottom as well. You get them side, and then you get them, yeah, the side as well there, and that's where they get the web address as well. Got more here. So we get issue 27 and issue 31 with Sharon Carter in it. We get the Falcon in that one. But yeah, it's amazing how you see characters change and evolve over time through the Falkland. So they are there. We've got Senegal of Liberty now, which was like a mini-series they did in between issues. So Marvel had an issue, had a thing where they take the characters back to certain periods of time. This one was probably around the American Revolution, I think, 1781. And how he would deal with it. So you got that one, where the battle begins. That's issue 7. Issue 8 is more of, it looks like it's to do with the race riots in America. From looking at it. So it's all about the sort of the changes they have to do. So it's nice for them to get into a political link with it as well, and that's issue 8. And then we've got issue 9, which is Rising from the Ashes, and basically Falcon's sort of taking over where Steve Rogers was down. So that is what it's about. So we're going to put them into there. We've got volume 4, which I just have as one of these, assembled, which is quite good. You get several comics in one. That's what it is. It's quite a good read. If you want to know about them, it's worth doing. But basically, you've got issue 29 to 32, where it says at the back, and Captain America and the Falcon, issue 5 to 7. So yeah, they've got a bit in there, which is quite good, but like I said, it's not as good as the actual comics that you get normally, I would say. So we're now up to volume 5 of Captain America. So we've got issue 1, 2, 3, or volume 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're on volume 5, so you can understand. You see, volume 1 had a lot of issues going on. The rest of the issues probably had between 20 to 50 issues if you were lucky. I think some of them only had about 20 or so. So it's hard to sort of, see how it goes and how it went. But the more longer it went, the less issues it got. Whilst you had about hundreds for the first volume of it, though. So yeah, we're up to volume 5. This is where the covers start getting a bit interesting, a bit more modern. And you can see a sort of resemblance from this to the films, to be honest. I can't remember when this was released. This is where you got the helicarrier in the background. Not sure you can see it there, but that's where the helicarrier is, above Steve Rogers' head. And it's a bit bulky and fat. How it sort of flew with them sort of propellers, I don't know. But that's mainly agents of sort of S.H.I.E.L.D. around him and him fighting with S.H.I.E.L.D., So that's wonderful. We've also got Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. Now this was before they decided they were going to do, I think it was 2005 this was released, and this is before they decided they were going to do it. Now you look at him, he looks wonderful. He looks like the proper Bucky Barnes, you'd realise. He really does. So he's got the metal arm, he's got everything there. So the fact that they've done through the history of Bucky Barnes in the background from comic to before they thought about the film, they actually modelled him on that. So it's nice to sort of get a comic with that sort of figure on it. It really is. Hopefully he'll reappear in the new film coming out soon. So yeah, it's nice to see. You don't see him with the eye masks. You don't in the films, and that's what it's missing. That is what it's missing, you know. But obviously they changed it to the what you call it, the breathing after agency hard, but the guns are still the same. But yeah, that's basically Bucky Barnes before the films, and it's so canny. He looks like him there as well. So yeah, we'll put that in there. We're now on to volume 7, so there's no volume 6. This is where it's, I don't know, I'm not too keen on that cover. It's too anime for me, it really is. I'm not one for anime sort of stuff, but that is a bit too anime characters when you look at this one for issue 5 of volume 7. So yeah, not read much into it. And then we go on to the Sam Wilson Captain America, which is where Steve Rogers is an old man, and it's celebrating 75 years of Captain America. So that is good. You got Winter Soldier. This is back in a few years ago now. But like I said, that's issue 7 in March. So yeah, I think that's one of the first comics I bought of Captain America. It was really good. Really good. Then we got volume 9. Now in between volume 7 and 9, we have this Jack Kirby special, 100th anniversary. And that's a variant. I can't believe I managed to pick that up really cheap. I was like, really? The Jack Kirby? So yeah, I've not read it, but that looks like an awesome cover. But we have got onto the modern ones of volume 9 and the lenticulars. So you got that lenticular there, which goes with issue 605. So what they did was, last year, they picked up the Legacy comics. So the Legacy comics started off with the volumes they were when they last finished it at volume 1. So with volume 9, we're kicking off the volume numbers, or the issue numbers, from the end of volume 1. So yeah, 695 we're up to here. And they celebrated it with the lenticulars for every comic that they brought out, well that Marvel did last year. So this one is about Iron Man and Captain America. So you have back in the fight, Captain America battles to regain the support of a nation. This is after he was Hydra, basically. That's what it's about. And then you've got what have you got? Framed for the murder of Iron Man, fights back, calls against Hammer. Called Hammer. Okay, so that's about Justin Hammer. I think it might be. So that's what it's about. So it's got links to Iron Man 2 in that sort of sense, I'm assuming. But yeah, you got 1979 version of Iron Man to modern day Captain America. So that's what it's about. And then we've got the 606, 696, and then we've got 697 with the Hunter. And then we've got the variants, which I love my variants on Marvel Comics. This one is pretty much quite a good one. You got who we got here? The Avengers variants. You got Iron Man and something else. Can't remember what the rest of them are, but you got Thor and Captain America, and you got the Wasp there as well. So you got the Wasp where my finger is there, above the shield. Pretty hard to see, but that's what you've got. I think that might be Storm. I can't remember if that's Storm or someone else. I keep thinking that keeps being Ant-Man, but I can't remember because I haven't got the vintage comics of Ant-Man. That's something I want to get. I want to look at the vintage comics of Ant-Man at some time. I'm at 908, and that's like 698, where he's out of time and he's frozen again. So it's like a backflash comic. So some comics you get are like backflashes to the characters. So this is what this was. And then you had the Hulk variants at the same time, which is quite good. You know, like I said, I like my Captain America, but the series of this wasn't that good in season volume 9. It really wasn't. At the time, was a bit of a backflash story. That's all it was, and I wasn't that impressed with it. That is what I would have to say. Then you got issue 700. So the fact they got to 700, but the variance was awesome. I mean, you've got Venom. What you got is the kid actually putting his finger up Venom's nose as well at the same time. The Venom 30th anniversary it's about. So yeah, that is quite wonderful to sort of see that sort of going on. But yeah, that was quite good. And also I have a blank one there ready for when I meet an artist or something and you get it signed. That's what they're worth. That's what the sort of why it's worth keeping hold of them. Hopefully it's a case of keeping them clean. So yeah, that's Captain America. We've got a few others. And like I said, a lot of them are to do with backflashes. So them two are basically the same. One's a variant and one isn't. But it's more set in the future, these are. So these are basically the promised lands where they went to the future. You've also got the Deadpool variant, which is awesome. That's what I liked about it. I thought, well, I'm not too keen on it on the storyline, but the variant's wonderful. You know, this is what you end up doing. You end up collecting the comics because of the variants. That's why. So yeah, that's the Deadpool version of it. That looks quite awesome. So that's issue 701. We move on to 702. Good in the variants, and it is more to do with backflashes and the way the Captain America family ends up being. So, like I said, it needs you and all that lot, and it relates to the future where a dystopian America happens, sort of thing. And then I've got a variant of that one to go with it, same issue. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's what I love. I said you end up getting them for the variants. That is why I love the comics. And like I said, I got bored with the storyline. It was a case of, if I get teased with a storyline, I'll go for it, you know. Because this was all to do with the future and there wasn't much Captain America in it, I got put off buying more Captain America future comics. So that's what it was. Like I said, we got more. So it was worth getting it just for the artwork. That's the way I thought of it at the time. I could have stopped, but when you start collecting a comic, you don't want to stop at the end of the volume, and that's what it ends up being. And I think in a way I got put off by getting a few variants at the same time. So yeah, and then you got volume 704, and this is the last time I got a Captain America comic like this, to be honest. It's the latest ones I got. I didn't get any more later ones because I got bored with it, to be honest, but I decided to get the vintage ones because I was interested in the vintage comics, so I moved over to getting the very early editions, very early volumes of the first volume, the issue numbers of the first volume, so that's what I ended up doing. So now we're going to move over to Captain Marvel. So yeah, the first issue, well not the first, issue 8 of the first volume of Captain Marvel, when he was a dude, or when she was a dude. So this is what, 1968 again, issue 8, December issue, and Captain Marvel and Fear Shall Follow. That's what it's about. It's quite alright, but like I said, it's still developing Captain Marvel as a person. That's what it is as a character. Unfortunately, that's completely different to what you're used to with the comics. So, like I say, Marvel kept changing them. And like I said, later on in issue 39, he looks a bit more different. So the whole suit changes. So that's how you can tell from the early models to the recent ones. And these ones is what you tend to see the suits on the modern day Captain Marvel. So yeah, we're going to what? June or to July. Don't know, that's 1970s. That's during when they had the Watcher. Still a male dude there, and that continued right on. So you'll notice, like I said, they moved from that to these, and then they've stuck it to that, which is issue 45. So it's just handy just to see how Captain Marvel has developed along the issues like that. So that's how Volume 1 went. Like I said, I still don't remember, I can't remember, this is why I want to still collect these to find out how far the Volume 1 of Captain Marvel went. It's worth sort of finding out where it went from like a dude to a female straight away, but I've got a feeling it might have been in the other volumes, like Volume 2, Volume 3. I think it was more like Volume 5 that changed it, but it was a dude right up to there, to Volume 4, end of Volume 4. So yeah, as for the people that he sort of battles against, and this is what Jude Law will be playing in, and Marvel becomes a mad killer. Caught between a mind-blown Captain Marvel and a murdering monster, Ricky Jones fights for his life. That's issue 45. And we've got the new Captain Marvel. So this is probably why they switched from this character to these, because it was a bit more different. So basically that's what he is, Captain Marvel there in the green background. So it's nice to get the earlier covers, because then you get to see a character developing over time. That's what's wonderful about it. So that was Volume 1 of Captain Marvel. We are now going to Volume 7. It's Volume 7. There's only one issue I've got in there. And that is issue 5. So there isn't much to it. I still want to collect more issues, but like I said, I think from Volume 5 onwards it was like that. So Volume 7 is a bit more advanced in the whole comic issue of Captain Marvel. Interesting to see how it develops, but I think they've done well so far with Captain Marvel. So now we're at Volume 9. So I've still got a bit of a gap. And like I said, Volume 9 is when I started really paying attention to the collection of Captain Marvel. So as much as it looks like I've got 2 issues the same, one's a second print. And this actual volume was quite good. You know, it's where you start meeting or finding out she has got a boyfriend, and that is Rhodey. So Rhodey, who is War Machine, ends up being her boyfriend. So yeah, still can't tell the difference between the second print and the first print, apart from the font cover. So maybe that's why they've done it. They just changed the font for the second print, which is quite cool. But I liked the storyline. It was one of the first ones I bought that I read the storyline in, and it was also with Alpha Flight. So hence the 8 Fs. And we've got it continuing there for issue 2 to 3 and 4. Issue 5, I think I've got 2 covers for. So yeah, we've got 2 covers for issue 5. The Apocalypse one, the variants, and the normal one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to when Captain Marvel does a battle with the Scree on actual movies. Then we go to the Civil War issues. So we've got issue 6, issue 7. This is basically when he's sort of fighting Tony Stark in a way. And that's why it's Civil War 2, but it is to do with Thanos, to be honest. Issue 8, issue 9, issue 10. So it's basically Alpha Flight versus Avengers. That's what it's about. This is what the fight was about. And as you can probably see there, it's sort of, you get people who are sort of on certain people's sides. That is what it's about there. So it's about choosing your sides with the Avengers. That's all it was. It's nothing to do with the actual first one. It was more to do with that. But since then it developed into Civil War 2, which is what we know as Thanos. So yeah, that's the spoiler in this one I've got here. It's to do with who ends up killing Thanos, who dies at the Avengers, and blah blah blah. I said that's what it's about, but I'm not going to spoil it for you guys because the film's due out soon. And we all don't know whether or not they're going to follow the script to the comics or not. That is the difference. But I got it, and it goes in my Civil War side of things. And this wonderful cover I've got, which is quite vintage. I mean, that's what you see a boxing poster like. That is awesome, that. You know, I keep looking at it thinking I should frame that. Even Tony Stark's face, you sort of see it like that. So that is wonderful to sort of see it like that. And like I said, we have the free comic book day one, which does sort of spoil how it sort of ends, but will it end like that? They never tend to finish it the way they do it there. That's Marvel for you. That is Marvel. So yeah, Mighty Captain Marvel. This is after the battle with Thanos and that. And this is where she goes downhill in a way. And people sort of see her as a superhero, where before she was quite anonymous. So maybe that is what happens in the film. You never know. You've got it all like that. It's wonderful, the covers. And like I said, this is where I really got into. So you got issue 0 where it starts off at. Put that in there. And issue 1. Now I have a variant of issue 1, which is this. And I'll keep appealing to people if they ever see this online, to let me know where they've seen it and what price they're at. Because this is a very rare copy. You never see them ink like that. You never see them as ink. Because, you know, but Polo S is the person who's done it. It's really wonderful, and like I said, very, very rare, limited edition. I've seen it in colour, never in ink like that. So this one is going to be kept sealed up until I find out more about this comic. So if anyone knows, do let me know, because I'm dying to find out more information about it. I found a bit of information, but not value-wise, or how many of these were released. That is what I want to know. Secret Empire comes in, and then we've got a Mary Jane special where she is what do you call it, Captain America. Now, you never see other characters dressed as Captain America. I mean, you've seen what's his name as Steve Rogers, haven't you? What's his name? Loki as Captain America. But you never see other people dressed like that, do you? You know, sometimes it's comical, sometimes it's like, whoa, that'd be interesting sort of thing. So that's the variant. Like I said, we go on more into the Mighty Captain Marvel, and that's more with the Avengers. The Avengers, what am I saying Avengers? The Guardians of the Galaxy. And then she's back with her Alpha Flight in that one. But this one I like for the fact that you can see Alpha Flight around her, and Rocket and the rest of them all sort of helping her fight whatever she needs fighting. So that's issue 7. That was issue 8. And the variant of issue 8 is quite good. I quite like that. I know it's a Capcom one, but I'm like, still a decent cover. I saw that, I thought, well, I've got to have that just for the cover, because it's nice to sort of see that sort of thing. But that was when they were advertising the Infinity Marvel vs. Capcom Affinity game, for those that aren't aware. So this was like an advertisement issue for it all. And then we go to issue 9, and I'm not too keen on the actual artwork on it, but hey, it's alright. It finished the collection, and that was like the original sort of cover for it. So yeah, and this is where they did again the legacy issues. So you've got the variant there, which is the Hulk and Captain Marvel. So it's interesting to sort of see that. So that's 125. I'll bung that in there. And we've got 126 with Black Widow. 127 is someone I don't know, but decent. And sorry, issue 128. That. The cover artist for 129 was wonderful. I mean, that's a split face. It's a bit like what you see with what's her name? found her name, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, the Venom sort of face. It's similar to that with Captain Marvel. So it's like she gets drawn to like a alternative dimension in that sort of sense, like an alternative reality more than a dimension. That's what it was about, and she had to fight the Scree. So yeah, that's that one. And then we move on to Dampner's True Stories, which is a reprint from the original Captain Marvel. So where I showed you the first issue of the guy dressed differently, that is it. And it's to do with the Sinitree, which are massive things. Now you never see them in the films, but no doubt they will come back out. You know, that would be wonderful to sort of see. And then we went on to The Life of Captain Marvel, which was recent. And like I said, if you're interested in finding out the backstory of Captain Marvel and her family, these are the issues to go for. So we have Volume 1 all here, which are wonderful. And like I said, I love the artwork to them. And I was always querying, said, when Brie Larson plays Captain Marvel, will she have short hair like that? You know, that is what I would sort of ask and question. And I was sort of prepared for her to have short hair like that, but she completely kept her hair colour, her hairstyle. I was like, oh, that's okay. So it was nice to sort of see it more like that. Then we got Volume 2, Issue 2, sorry, in Issue 3. So I've got like 2 Issue 3s. But like I said, the character keeps changing in the face. I wish the artists would keep the characters similar hairstyles and all that lot, just differently. But it goes to go for shorter ones. It's like, doesn't really go for it. You know what I mean? It is like, but yeah, that's what it's like. So then we got Issue 4, and then we got the Stan Lee tributes for Issue 5, which is wonderful. You know, it's nice to see artists do that, the tributes. Yeah, that's the one that's Joe Quintez. Yeah, so that's the imagery. So that's what we've got. That's wonderful to sort of see with Captain Marvel. We're sort of 3/4 full of this box, but we've mostly emptied that one. So this is why I wanted to sort out the boxes, as you can see. So now we need to add, without dropping the other ones, the other new Captain Marvel. That's basically archiving and explaining a bit more about the Comic-Cons. I know I tend to sort of speak a bit too fast for you guys, and my throat's killing just at the same time of it. But there's quite a bit to sort of get into, and I was worried we'd be able to fit it all in because it wasn't much. A bit of unboxing. We've sorted out the comics behind me. I put a nice little display in the background for you, hence why I was like, I wanted to improve on what I wanted to do on Wednesday for you guys. So you guys have got the extra pops in the background to look at. I would take the webcam off to show you a bit more closer. I don't know if you guys would want to. So we got Thor, we've got a few others there, Giant Man, and let's see what else have we got. There's a few others. I know the quality of the camera isn't that good, but that's basically all of that for you guys. I want you to see the pops for a bit. It's all there. I do want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching me today. I really do appreciate it.